Let's shift focus to the war in Ukraine now, where just a day after pulling its troops out of Snake Island in the Black Sea, Russia has attacked
The rising cost of living is affecting all of us, but shoppers.
Welcome back. Some of you already been mentoring with us and some of you are new guys have joined. I'm Bapu. So let's start with Dr. Piyush. Would you like to give us maybe a couple of seconds of intro, who you are, where you are?
Yeah. Good evening to all, to Bapu and your team for organizing this. Congratulations. My name is Piyush Gogari. I am a graduate from the early batches of National Institute of Design. I'm from the 4th batch, to be precise, with prolonged experience in consultancy and design education. And currently I'm in Mumbai with Velinka's Institute of Management, trying a very novel experiment in India of merging design thinking into management, education, and practices. Thank you.
Welcome back, sir. I think you are also been there last couple of years working, helping us with the mentoring and also as a jury. Hoping to receive good number of entries from Velinka too this year.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yep. Okay, we'll go with Rohit Gunda.
Hello everyone, I'm Rohit Gunda and I'm currently working as a user experience specialist at Boeing. And I've been here even the last year for DXS 21 Social.
Welcome back,
so
Rohit.
I mentored there as well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Looking for more challenges this time again.
Yeah, which city you are right now?
In Hyderabad right now.
Is it Boeing?
Boeing actually is in Bangalore. So since it's work from home, I'm working from Hyderabad, yeah.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, I think we last week, Sejal was there, right? Fireflies. Okay. Sejal, you were there, right? Last week also. Maybe you can introduce again with the new team. Sejal, you there? Okay. So we have also Jagannathan Kannan last week. Also, you there, Jagan? Maybe you can introduce yourself.
Yes, I was there last week also.
Yeah.
So quite interested to join again.
Maybe a little louder, Jagannath.
Yeah, I'm curious to join this week also, and see the process. About me, I started my career as a graphic designer in UX and creative service, and recently started my own startup called Big Pot House. As a mentor, this is my 3rd year to join here.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome back. So you are in which city?
I'm from Chennai.
Chennai. Okay, great. Okay.
Thank you.
Let's go. Thank you, Jagannath. Okay, let's talk to Vibhuti.
Hey, hi everyone. Bapu, are you able to hear me?
Yes, Vibhuti.
Sorry, I'm not able to come on the video today.
No, it's fine.
Great. Happy to meet all of you. I'm working as a design head with Wipro Technologies, Bangalore. And I've been associated with UXINDIA for quite some time. I think I started as a participant attendee, and then I think twice I had been the speaker and panelist last year, and this is my second year of mentoring in the DesignX Awards.
A lot of contribution, Vibhuti, from you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
and
Yeah,
sure,
go ahead.
thanks. And I'm really happy to also, be one of the clients of Bapu and Rohan. So we have also been fortunate to have Happening Studio as one of our vendors. And, we have also used recruitment services from Bapu's, I don't know, what do we call it, Bapu? It's like
It's
your
okay. It all
additional
goes
venture.
to yeah. It actually is part of UMO. Actually, it's a UXIN.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Hey,
So quite a
Vibhuti.
good association. Yeah, thank you.
Welcome back again, Vibhuti.
Hey, thanks, Rohan.
Yep. Okay. We'll go to thank you, Vibhuti, and go to Amit Inamdar.
Hi everyone, I'm Amit, a designer, design educator, social entrepreneur. I'm currently based out of Pune and I work with HFI, Human Factor International, as a design consultant and an educator with them. This is my second year. I was part of
Welcome
the
back,
design.
Amit.
Thank you. It was a great, experience, and that's what I'm looking forward to this year as well. So really happy to see so many different, people who have been associated with this, and also from different companies and cities. So great to be here. Thank you so much.
Great. So you're in which city, Amit?
Pune. I'm in Pune.
Pune. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you told us. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
We go to Pushti Bhatia.
Hey, hi everyone. About myself a little bit. So I'm a graduate from NIFT, and I pursued fashion communication over there. So it was more equivalent to communication design, and in the later years of my study, I moved on to product design. So currently, I'm working with an edtech firm in Bangalore as a product designer, and it's almost been 2.5 years I'm associated with them, and it's been a great journey. I've designed a lot of products from scratch and delivered them end to end, and currently it's one of the leading edtechs in India, soon to be a unicorn. So yeah, along with this would be my first mentoring experience here.
Great.
Along with this, I've done mentoring sessions. There's one platform, ADP, so I do mentor students and even a lot of my college juniors a lot. So this has been very helpful for me as well to learn a lot of things from them, because while you are teaching someone something, so you also gain a lot of things. So I always enjoy these cross-to-cross experiences. So yeah.
Yep. Hope you'll have a wonderful experience with UMO too. And this is a little bit different than what you've been doing, but we're going to explain it actually. Look, you're also competing with other teams.
Yeah.
You're actually, we're going to get that in a while. Thank you, Pusti. Okay, we'll go to Shubham Sharma.
Hi everyone, this is Shubham. I'm from Delhi, and I'm a pass out from IT Delhi, and in this same industry from quite a handful of years, like close to 10 years now, working currently with OLX, and it's been my third year with I started with my journey in UMO.Design, design challenge, and I've been mentoring from it's been like 30
Welcome back, Shubham.
And I learned a lot during this journey, where my team reached the finals with Nextdoor as my team, where I worked with and a bunch of guys, and doing the same, learning a lot, and
Great.
Welcome everyone.
Yep. Thank you, Shubham. So you're in Delhi right now. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, Rupali Babulkar. Rupali, you're able to speak?
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Hi everyone. Actually, I introduced myself last week, so I was just listening. Anyway, I am Rupali Babulkar. I am from Mumbai, and this is my second year. I have been practicing design. I'm pass out from IDC, and I have been working as a design professional since last 20 years, and as an educator since last 12 years. And this is my second year in UX design social.
Welcome back, Rupali.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Papa.
Great. Yeah. You're in which city? Mumbai, is it right?
Mumbai.
Mumbai. Okay. Yeah. Great. Shruti Srivatsava. Shruti, you there?
Hey, yeah, I'm here. I was just
Yeah,
unmuting. Hey everyone, I am Shruti. I work as a visual design consultant and a design mentor at IBM. And this is my first. This is going to be my first experience with UXC. So very excited
yeah.
to see you all. Yeah.
Hope you're going to have a
Thank
great
you.
experience with you. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
definitely.
You're in
you.
Bangalore, right?
I'm in Delhi.
IBM Delhi. Okay.
Yeah, Delhi IBM. Gurgaon office.
Okay. Yeah. Great. Okay. So we have Prabal. Both of them are Sudevi and Prabal.
Yeah, hi Babu. Yeah, both should
Both of you are there?
Hello.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah, so no, we were actually outside, so we had to log in through our phone. So we thought it's better to log in through one phone.
Okay.
Hello everyone, and hello Bapu. It's always a pleasure to be associated with UMO and UXINDIA. As we know, we really like working with you. So I think
Thank
this is our
you.
third year
Yeah.
as mentors, and so I wear
Speakers. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, I wear multiple hats. So I am an associate program dean for the design business technology cluster at Srishti Manipal Design and Technology. Also the associate academic dean for the PG programs at Srishti. But I also am the co-founder and for the Epicenter Design Collective. We work across the globe on different kinds of projects using design as an approach, and of course human-centered design is a very important way in which we actually tackle things. But then most of the projects that we work on, whether we work with business houses or social impact organizations or cultural relations organizations or in the sector of education, I think we always try to see that we work kind of create impact. So exactly for the same reason, we would like to be associated with UMO, because I think the intent is really something that aligns with our value and vision. And off to Prabal.
Yeah, Prabal.
Hi. I too am a part of the Epicenter. I think Shrudevi's explained what we do in quite briefly. So that's about it. We are based out of Bangalore. And like she said, we work on projects across the world. Thank you.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Yep. Let's move to Arun Murugesan.
Hey guys, again happy to be part of UMO this year too. I think last
Welcome
year,
back,
thank you. Of course, I know Rohan from a long time.
Arun.
Being also, hey, how are you, Rohan? We should catch up.
Yes.
Long time. So recently, I've joined a fintech as a head of design there. Prior to that, I was with again a head of design at another fintech. But been mentoring a lot of students, and largely students who want to get into the field of UX and UI. Probably hundreds of students I've mentored over the last 4-5 years. But I'll be more happy to be part of a format from the UMO side, and looking forward to teach more students. So been in the industry for more than 15 years and currently at Bangalore.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So we also have some of our volunteers, and Charvi, Ankita, Pranita, and Jabin. Also, I would like to ask our core team members to introduce themselves. Shama Dursetti.
Hey, hey everyone. Hi again. Once again, I think we spoke last year, and some of us I think were part of the DXX context as well as the conference last year. Most of us met, I guess. Most of the names are they sound quite familiar. Welcome back, and I don't think I need to introduce myself as such. I've been with UMO and UXINDIA for long, ever since it's been incepted, right? So it's since its inception in that sense. So yeah, welcome back, and then looking forward to working with you all.
Great. Ranjit.
Hey guys, I'm Ranjit Tai here. I'm based out of San Francisco. I think most of the names, most of you are very familiar, as Sham said. And been driving these initiatives along with Bapu for many years. And welcome back. And this year, it's a great opportunity, great theme. And I think, you guys are contributing to a tremendous cause. And wishing you all the best.
Yep. Thank you, Ranjit. Rohan.
I've been part of UMO for close to 5 years, working with the core team on quite a few initiatives. And I also head this design studio called Happening, and very excited to have quite a few people this year. Look forward to being a part of this journey with you all.
Great. So I think we have 2 more people join. Kumresh, you want to go ahead?
Hello.
Hi, Kumresh.
Yeah, myself, Kumresh, and I work as a senior consultant with Infosys, and I have been associated with UMO for almost 8 years now.
Great. Ashirwad.
Hello. Am I audible?
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I have recently joined UMO, so the previous week was my first call, and where I got to understand a lot about how it works. Talking about myself, I work at a leading bank in the UK as a IBR designer.
We're losing actually. Which company you said?
For a private bank at UK, one of the leading.
Okay, private. Oh, UK, right? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, thank you, Ashirwad. We have Ravi. Ravi is some outside. Yeah. Ravi, you able to introduce us, or we can figure it out from your. Okay. So, Sejal, how about you? Still unmute. Okay then. So Shyam, you're able to share your screen and take us through the template, maybe the process a bit more. Then we will have, what Mentor is going to do.
Yeah, sure, Bapu. Yeah. Okay. Let me pull up my screen, and in the meantime, let me continue to talk. So I guess for people who have been part of this contest last year or even the previous years, I think we are sticking to the success formula. So the format and things will largely be very similar, if you remember. But nevertheless, let me walk you through the deck that we have for this year, right? So,
Rohan, you have to make him a host, or can you do it? Okay.
Should be able to, yeah.
Great.
Right. Can you see my screen? Rohan, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes,
cool.
Visible.
Cool. Okay. So I think the reason why we are here today is just to understand.
You have to change to 2022. Okay.
2022. Yes. Same template. Good. Okay. Let me just do it. Let's also keep it a little bit kind of a working session. In case if you see any glitches like this, don't hesitate to point out. Yeah. So the reason why we are here is to help our participants to be successful, right? So as always, this is just a playbook of sorts, as in playbook/workbook, which will help participants to whiz through this contest and then be successful by adhering to the all the instructions and guidelines, right? So as mentors, we also need to be familiar with this because we are expected to work closely with our participants, our teams, and the goal here is to help them become successful. More than become successful, as in the definition of success is, it's not about winning and things like that. I mean, they're just the rewards, but then helping each and every team participate in this, do their best, right? So at a high level, I think pretty straightforward. These instructions are basic instructions. In case if you don't happen to have Google account, I guess there won't be anyone without Google account these days. But then if you happen to be someone without that, then we highly encourage you and your teams to download it and then change the format to Microsoft PowerPoint and then work on the desktop, right? So in a sense, it's all about that. But otherwise, for 90% of the people with Google account, we encourage them to make a copy of this tech and then use that tech as their workbook. So yeah, so let's get into this, right? So as we did with last time, we continue to push this agenda of UMO as in creating social impact through design. So this year, the theme for this contest is designing for crisis, right? So with so much happening around us, if you have read the theme and the description over there, just as an example, I think, I mean, this Sri Lanka crisis, the war, and then lots of things that are happening around us because of these things is the mindset that we want our teams to get into to start with, and think of how do we handle crisis as designers. And the tagline there is rebuild and heal the world with design, because some crises we can control, but other crises, because they depend on much larger macro economic factors and stuff like that, macroeconomic, economic, geopolitical, tons of things. As designers, we might not be able to control things, but then what we can do is, can we think of ideas and be proactive about it, and then see, can we influence things all the way from top down? And if these things happen, how can we help the societies and people come out of it and rebuild and heal the world, right? So when we say world, it could be their own personal world as well as the world around themselves, which will have much broader impact in their societies at micro level, and also even at macro level, right? So very broad, but we will have content in there which will help them connect to this. But yeah, so we start with this, and then they can name their project and all that stuff, and then after that, we want them to fill in their team, right? So including one of your name here as a mentor, and then we jump into, so as always, this
Sham,
contest
can we
is
check
split into phases.
Sham, can we let's check once, like, any questions so far, so that, because some of them are actually new, so I must be feeling confused a bit. So any questions so far?
So
my questions are
Sham, basically go to the team page so that anyone.
Yeah,
Go ahead. That's
I
not the
just wanted to
theme.
clarify.
We will get into the theme. Go ahead.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify the number of team members. Are they restricted to 5?
Yeah. Ashirwad, actually, we're going to talk in a while. Once the Sham is done with that, we're going to talk about in more detail. So anyways, since you asked the question, what we are saying here is maximum number of participants are 5, minimum is 3. Okay, so you will be assigned to a team, and then team is going to take this template to work on the project. So Sham is right now helping you with, and they come back and ask you, how can I use this template?
Right.
We actually can, you can explain. And of course, everything will be recorded and will be keeping as part of the package. So everyone will get access to this recording also. In case you're in doubt, you can always go back and do it. And we can also do a Q&A session.
Okay. I mean, yeah, that solves my case. Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
So yeah, I didn't do that just to clarify. I think it reads optional here, because some teams historically, they don't necessarily have to opt for mentor, but don't go by this, because if you are a mentor and then if you are associated with the team, then you are expected to have your name here, and then nice to have your photo along with your team and stuff like that, right? So I just wanted to clarify this optional thing there. Yes. So this is a slide, I think, to Bapu's point, as in case if we need more clarity on the theme and all that stuff, we can spend some time on this slide, because this is really important as it goes with anything that we do as designers. It's really important that the first step that we take in anything that we design is identifying the problem, right? So what exactly is this? And then this kind of builds on what I mentioned briefly on the cover slide. What are we trying to do this year? What is the theme? And what kind of mindset you need to come up with in terms of at the end of it, yes, crises happen, right? So the broader context is crisis, and then as designers can we help with rebuilding and healing the world. So when we say that, when we think of crisis, we think of an individual or his family or a society, right? So so many situations and scenarios pop up in our mind. We are trying to contain all that into two broad categories, right? So reimagining the life operating system and redesigning. The second one is redesigning broader policies and broader systems, which would potentially proactively stop from getting into these kind of things, right? So or even help better design these systems, right? So for instance, Sri Lankan crisis and all those. I mean, there is so much that we could do. Can design influence policies, or can it
think
be
about this, right?
citizen inclusive, right? So citizen-led and things like that, right? So at a high level, that's what it is. Ranjit, do you want to add? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So think about like this, right? There is a lot of opportunity here. So one thing as a designers, this is a great opportunity to really identifying a problem. That's very key thing for any kind of this kind of innovation contest, right? Identify a problem which really matters and figure out an opportunity where how design can influence that particular problem to a solution state. Okay, so these two categories which Shyam was mentioning, right? Especially life operating system, which is mission critical stuff, whether it can be any kind of, it don't need to be a big problem by itself, a problem which matters to the human race. And same with the second one is all about the government system and policies which get packaged and get nurtured on the top of it, right? Citizen experience, or it can be basically like, so how can your digital things can really solve an existing, cut the lines, or maybe like, it can be supply chain, or it can be something else like, something benefit people, citizen benefit, or it can be a traffic or whatever, right? So we see a lot of things, especially identified during the COVID time frame, right? A lot of things got reimagined. Okay, that really proved that really small things can really change the world. But there are broader things which happen this, with war and crisis and financial crisis. We see a lot of these recent examples. So pick something like, challenge your teams to really think about and help them you should help them to really think and identify, because there are a bunch of people like, hundreds of other contestants will also think about similar problems. So identify something unique. That itself is a challenge, right? And then solving the challenge is a challenge. There are two parts to it. Sure. Go ahead, Shyam.
Thanks, Rajat. Yeah. So just to add a bit more color to it, and after that we can open it for discussions and then see if you understood this, and then is there anything that we can add more as a group here, because at the end of it we should all work together to help our audience get this, right? Our participants get this. So yeah, so reimagining life operating system, I think that category is mainly it just focuses on an individual or a smaller society, wherein how can we help this society cope up with this crisis, right? So crisis happened and all that, and then the immediate things that you need to take care of are healthcare, finance, education, security, housing, and all that, right? So war kind of thing gives an opportunity for societies as well as local governing bodies to build things from scratch. So it's an opportunity to redesign things from scratch and then ensure that we bring in ideas like sustainability, right? So and stuff like that into it, and then it's just a blank slate opportunity, right? So in doing so, how can you make the systems robust and sustainable, right? And that's on one side. And these people are battered, right, because of all this crisis, and they are going through trauma, severe trauma. And then we spoke about mental health and all those things during COVID, but the current situation is even severe, I guess, right? So how can design help with this? Is it an individual thing, or it's a society thing? Can we as a team that is participating in this contest, we can focus on an individual as well? So can we make someone who is at a very early stage in his life, and then they haven't seen the light, but then they are seeing all this depressing things around them now. So how can we help them be hopeful of things, bring them out of this trauma and all that? At the same time, on the other end of the extreme, there could be someone who is at the fag end of their life, but then they still have to live their life, right? So they are also traumatized, and they need a different kind of help and all that stuff, right? So all the basic things in terms of who is the target person now, who should we focus on. So encourage your team to explore these things, and then focus on one, right? So an individual of a certain age, or and things like that, or a society as well, right? So you could also place this or position this at a society level. So a small little community is affected because of this. Out of that comes a interesting narrative, right? So what is the narrative? What is the problem that we are trying to solve, right? So and things like that, right? So yeah, so that's all about life operating system. And then the other point number 2 is about, sure, all these things can happen, but then can we address it at the root by, can design influence government systems and policies? Can we make them think it from people-centric view, citizen-centric view, right? So and stuff like that, right? So it could, so the outcomes could be many as we go through this. It doesn't necessarily have to be a product or a service. It could also be a policy, well thought through policy document that you can encourage your teams to come up with, in case if there is a team that can think on those lines. But yes, open to all these explorations, right? So yeah, I think I'll just leave it there. Any thoughts, any comments, anything we can add, remove?
Hey Shyam, Vibhuti here. So I just have a question. Maybe it might help the new mentors in the group. So basically, I think we should encourage the teams to come up with the thoughts or with the ideas, or would you recommend that we should also suggest some of the ideas based on how you and Ranjit just elaborated? So ideally, what should be done? Like, should we give them some clues, some ideas, or we should encourage them to come up with a theme or with main idea of challenge that they want to crack?
So the expectation is this is the theme in itself. So the question that you are asking is, do we need to add a bit more or help?
I mean to say, like,
I'll take that question, Shyam. I'll take that question. So Vibhuti, I think you can do that. You're basically giving a direction to the team because definitely it's not that simple theme. It needs a bit more maturity to think in that direction, right? So you are giving them a direction, but you're not solving it.
Okay.
Right? You're encouraging them to think in the right direction. But of course, you can give some clues, examples and all. And you're helping to identify, build their problem statement, work on it. And of course, as a mentor, you're always been there as like a support, but you are not solving.
Yeah, so we are not solving, but then the initiation of the challenge should be from their side, right? Like, what is the core problem that they want to solve?
Correct.
And then we give them the direction, right? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yes.
It's also a combination of things. Sometimes, for example, let's say team has like 2-3 ideas and they're really struggling to finalize what is going to be a challenge. That's where you come in and basically look at the value of it and brainstorm it and see which has a potential and which can be done in a certain period of time. Remember this, there are two parameters to this. One, these are open-ended, okay? Which means really needs good amount of thinking to structurize. Number 2 is especially in terms of time bond. It has a time, right? Certain time they need to complete this project.
Yeah.
And your experience will help them there to really get things rolling.
Got it. Thanks.
Yeah, just a small correction to what you've asked Vibhuti, right? So yes, sure. I mean, our role starts after they identify the problem, but then problem identification itself, as we are discussing, you as a mentor can play a part there also. in fact, you are expected to play a part there because they come to you with a bunch of problems. I mean, all this is trying to give is set a context, get them into this into this thinking mindset, thing that things happen, that there is crisis, and then we need to come up with problems in one of these two buckets, right? So am I going to focus on an individual or a society and then help their lives get better after this, or am I going to focus on at a policy level, and within that they can come up with, hey, I want to focus on healthcare because healthcare seems to be one of the topmost priorities. Let me design something for it. I'm going to focus on finance, right? So, or maybe I'm just going to focus on a combination of finance for a senior citizen, right? So how can we help them handle finances when crisis happen because they don't have access to cash or funds or whatnot, right? So they are going to brainstorm. They're going to sit and brainstorm about the problems, 1, 2, or 3, and then the role of the mentor there is to make them think through those things and then pick the right problem, phase 1. And after that, you're going to take them to the journey of standard design thinking, problem solving, and all those things, right? So design, execution, or the problem solving process after this. I hope I clarified your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other thoughts on this? Feedback, thoughts?
I have a small query.
Yes, please.
Is there any cap on the reasons of disaster? I mean, why the disaster? Is it an earthquake, or is it a war, or is it a tsunami? Are there any caps on the cause for the disaster, or we are taking it for granted?
Okay, good point. At least on this slide, it's not calling out, but in the description, we have picked 2 things that are relevant today. Relevant to today's times, right? So one is war, and the other thing is Sri Lankan crisis. I think it'll be good to keep it closer to the currently ongoing crises, because as you mentioned, disasters could be anything: tsunami, earthquake, fire, wildfires, and so on and so forth, right? So, but I think it'll be good to keep to these 2 current situations that we are facing. Is what I think. Any other thoughts? I mean,
I have a contrary thought. Can I take 1 minute?
Sure.
See, when we cap the cause for disaster, we are in a way limiting the creativity of the participant. Instead, if we leave it open, let them go wild on their thoughts, and we may find some very, very interesting solutions if they are allowed to think loud.
You're right, sir. Actually,
For example, a tsunami could be a huge resource for storing the energy it generates. Or in a case of an earthquake, how do you airlift the necessary items required for the affected? So, if we allow them to think freely, I mean, it's up to the management to decide. But I am of the opinion that a free thought would be more beneficial in terms of innovation.
Yeah. So just so I think maybe you have to keep someone to mute so there's echoing. So the basic thing here is nothing to do with Sri Lanka or Ukraine war or anything with tsunami. So that is actually we're taking an example. What we are talking about is how can we be more resilient in this crisis? Kumresh, can you keep it on mute, please? Is resonating. So basically, we are only taking examples so that people understand, quickly identify that what kind of problems they are going through, the people and community and country. So, but the major thing what we are trying to solve is how can we be more resilient when we are facing some man-made or God-made, whatever, tsunami and fire and all those things would come. So take an example like how Japan has actually rebuilt their country. So they're very resilient, right? So that's the kind of thing we are looking at. We're not trying to solve immediate problems like, okay, can we do something for Sri Lanka? Can we do something for Ukraine? We are trying to solve the major problem, like any kind of crisis happen, but how can you rebuild your country or community, your place in a quick time, or what kind of things as a creative community we can contribute to this. So that's the main crux of this theme. So we are not addressing only to design it for Ukraine or design it for Sri Lanka. It could be tsunami also. It's very open. Is it answering you, sir? Sir, you're on mute. Okay, Shyam, yeah, go ahead, I think. You're on mute, sir. Anybody wants to speak, please unmute and talk.
That's precisely what I'm advocating. Let it be open. So
yes,
that
yes,
we
it's
get
open.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, basically, what we're saying is we will just.
I have is to the end of the project. Hello.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat it, please?
The second point I have is toward the end of the project. Should I ask just now or later? Let
Yeah,
the
you
PPT
can ask
be
now.
over.
You can ask. You can ask.
Okay. Toward the end of the project, what is the level of innovation do we expect? Is it just a conceptual idea, or do we need some proof of concept, or do we need some prototype? What is the outcome?
Yeah, that Shyam is going to talk about. That Shyam is going to talk about in a couple of slides.
We have a we do have a criteria for evaluation, so we'll go through that.
Fine. Okay.
Okay. So again, if there are any other thoughts, I think we could come back to that. But in the interest of time, let's go through this once, right? So once you identify the problem, as a part of this, you're also expected to briefly mention why you think it's an urgent problem and why it is relevant to the times that we are here. Basically, why did you pick this problem, right? So that is something that has to be clearly communicated, and then we also want the teams to focus on who exactly they're targeting. So slowly we're going to get more focused, as in what kind of situations we are going to target, people, personas, various scenarios around that, and things like that, right? So it could be one persona, it could be two personas, based on the scenario that you pick up. So we expect them to capture it clearly as part of this. Then, that kind of completes the stage one. So at the end of stage one, if you've been to our context in the past as well. So basically there are two stages. So stage one is where they complete the first three slides of first three aspects of this, which is problem identification, why it is an urgent or important problem, and who are the target personas for this, right? So you are expected to submit it to team at UMO.Design at the end of stage one. Once that is done, then you continue with problem solving process. You get into explorations, solutions, and ideas, and then you are expected to capture your explorations, and it could be sketches or it could be whatever artifact that you're going to come up with, right? So capture that, and then get to the final solution, right? So how does your solution address the problem identified, and why do you think it is innovative, or some of the things that we seek as a part of this? Then the core thing. So what is the actual user experience of what you have come up with, right? So here we encourage teams to capture a video, because at the end of it, it needs to demonstrate the experience that you have come up with. For that, problem that you've selected, right? So this is solving this problem this way. You could screenplay a bunch of scenarios for that persona. You could use mock-ups, screenshots, but then you are highly encouraged to submit a video. I think we make it mandatory to submit a video, right, Babu? So it's not and or, right? So video is mandatory, I guess. And then capture the process. As a part of this, what exactly is the process that you followed? Is it how was it? How is it interesting? And then what exactly happened behind the scenes? And from here on, we're going to talk about the key things, as in the impact of this on the society, or I'm saying society, but it could also be on the specific persona which you have identified, right? So what exactly is the impact? Why do you think it's a sustainable solution, right? So I guess when we think of these disasters, we can't come up with a solution which is just a stopgap. It has to stand the test of time. It could be, since tsunami could be your context, or earthquake, or the war and all that. Why do we think we have come up with a solution that is robust and sustainable? And to Piyush's question, you as a team also need to think about its practicality and viability, right? So yes, designing something is fine, but then is it going to have true impact? How practical is it to build the solution that you have come up with, right? So are we just smoking here, or is it a solution that we can build, if not immediately, but at least what exactly is your plan around that? How do you see it panning out, right? Panning out. And at the end of it, it also has to be profitable. I think it's good to think about what goes into it, how is it going to bring ROI to either the government or the people who are vested in this, and things like that. Right? So yeah, so that kind of completes stage 2, wherein you're going to, so at the end of stage 2, you're going to take everything that you have worked on so far, including stage 1 and stage 2, and then everything goes into one presentation deck, which is this deck, a copy of this deck. We highly encourage the participants to follow this format. You don't necessarily have to use just one slide per se, because when it comes to designing, when it comes to capturing the design experience that you have come up with, you could add multiple slides, a screenshot per slide, and then also have a video at the end of it, right? So everything goes into one video. So video is the final format that we're going to use and evaluate. It should tell this. It should tell this story really well, so that we do understand the problem identified, and then what went behind the scenes for the process that you followed, and then why you think the solution that you came up with is the right solution, right? So that's the at a high level. This is how the workbook looks like, and it's been serving well to the teams that have participated in all the episodes, all the versions of this contest that we have been running over the years. So yeah, so any thoughts, and any additional thoughts? Hopefully, Piyush, I think this helps answer your question, the second question that you were asking, right? Is there anything else that we wanted to clarify? Piyush and team, anyone?
Okay. So we'll keep this recording, and you can always come back.
Thank you. It answers my question.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Rohan,
thank you.
Rohan, can you make quickly?
Yes,
take
I can do that.
them through. Yep.
Let me share my screen.
So while Rohan is sharing his screen, so we're going to create your mentoring for DXS visuals. So I would actually request you to share in social media, so that people actually can definitely, our fans and friends and families, they definitely would appreciate and also participate in the contest. Yeah, go ahead, Rohan.
Great. So just a quick couple of guidelines. I think we have less than 9 minutes, if I'm not wrong. So I'll try to make this quick. It's largely to Just give me 1 second. Yeah, I think we kind of all are familiar with the entire process and how it goes on, the entire contest. Close to, I think, quite a few participants have already kind of joined us, and we had a previous meeting with mentors, and it was pretty interesting, some of the questions they had and some of the points that we were able to cover. So I'll try to quickly go over all of this. The journey is going to be, it's already begun, but it's going to go on till 28th August. The way it goes is we will be assigning a team to you randomly. And if the team has, as a mentor, you could sign up to mentor 2 teams if you have the time. And as UMO, we'll also put a bit of a thought into how we can probably assign mentors to teams who are non-designers. I think that's, again, one more point to kind of keep a note that not all the participants participating are designers. They could be citizens, they could be non-designers, engineering students, and so on. I think the most important point to remember is that there might be that temptation that, we take control or maybe get a little bit in the shoes of the participant and try to help them solve. But ultimately, I think there should be a line that we should draw, and I'm sure there would be a lot of students who will also push you to share your ideas and share your thoughts with them. But I think it's important to draw a line and kind of just guide them towards the right direction. That's how this whole exercise is planned. There's also a very good case for team members not getting along together and not being able to meet with the deadlines, right? And as a mentor, you will also be responsible to keep the team together and help them meet the deadlines. Last year, the kind of tools that we used for collaboration were all very new for everybody. But right now, I think we're all familiar with a lot of these whiteboarding tools. So any tool that you want to use or the participants want to use is to your choice. But we are trying to collaborate with Figma and Envision to get some licenses as well. That is another point I want to bring up. And in terms of your availability, we do not really have any restriction or have a cap or anything as such, but we found that the bare minimum that you would probably have to do a week is about 2 hours. And if you can spare more time, depending on the team, depending on the requests, that'd be really wonderful. But I think the two hours a week would be really necessary for them to kind of help be successful throughout this competition. The other important factor, and one of the reasons why DesignX has been so successful in the past, is a lot of budding designers or a lot of designers also want to learn the design thinking process and want to actually create some impact, right, by being purposeful to the cause that they are solving. So it would really help that if you can, if as designers and experienced designers and thought leaders, it would really be of great learning experience for them to educate them through the design thinking process. And if you've seen the timelines or if you've seen the way the entire DXS is planned, is also that you go through these steps from identifying a problem to actually building something towards the end. So this would be a great masterclass for anybody who is working with a mentor. So please do guide them in that direction. Again, point to note is not all participants are going to be designers, and not everybody is going to be of a similar age group or similar sort of a background people will be coming from. There are people joining all across the globe. So please be patient with them, and they might not be designers, they might not understand the design lingo. So it might help to pace your entire interactions with them based on their background. Just a few guidelines, and obviously we appreciate your effort, especially not just for today being on the call, but throughout this journey. So we will be taking feedback from all the participants towards the end of the competition, and we will be giving out a Best Mentor Award. and the feedback will be shared with all of you. And mentors will be getting certificates, and you'll be showcased across the UMO social channels and the website and so on. And like Bapu was mentioning earlier, we will be creating a custom visual for you that you should be sharing on social media, and use the right hashtag so that people know you're on to this competition and you are a part of this. There are requests that we got last year where teams specifically asked for a particular mentor. So if you have a lot of following, that tends to happen, but we will be randomly assigning teams to you. And if you want to kind of take that next step with us, not just in terms of being a part of this challenge, we can collaborate by being a part of the UMO.Design School, giving some talks every weekend, being a part of some of our other initiatives, or if you have any ideas that you think could create a lot of social impact, we are open to hearing your ideas and thoughts from you as well. So yeah, that concludes it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. If not, we've already, I think a lot of you have submitted your information, but it would help to, I think we'll drop the link in the chat. It would help to kind of update your information in case you find that you recently moved or your email has changed or whatever. The third point here, the Calendly link. Calendly is a wonderful tool for, scheduling your meetings. So it's just you allot some time slots on your calendar and share the link with people, and you would get a request and it automatically gets synced to your calendar. You get a free account. So if you can sign up to Calendly and share that link as well in the form, that would be great and easy to collaborate and talk to more people in the UMO.Design community. Thank you. Any questions so far?
Would it be possible to mail this PPT to each one of us?
Yes, sir.
Mental guide?
Yes, sir. Everything, like all this brief and all the videos, everything will be given to you. We're going to send you a link and login and password. So
yeah,
and the same thing will be accessed by participants as well. So we also have the process defined by IDEO, design thinking process. So that is a kind of course you all know it, but just a kind of a guideline for you to refresh.
Thank you.
I had a thought just wanted to share with you, being a part of this for the last few years. And also, I am both into the academia and in the industry. I feel like, in this challenge, as you rightly said, there are different kinds of people who sign up, and their motivation and drivers are different, why they're all there. So one of the things I feel might be a good idea, it's just a suggestion, is that I would say that this is something which is a very good opportunity for anybody, for that matter, where they get an sort of explore what it means to use design as an approach to, at least address solving problems, if not solving the problems. And I would say that what it should ideally do is to open up the huge world of possibilities through the lens of design, right? Often what happens is, and I'm not blaming anybody or anything, it also sometimes makes people arrogant instead of making people humble. I mean, I would say that the more you explore, the more you immerse yourself into this world, you should ideally become more humble, because you understand so much is yet to be done and so much is there to kind of learn. But a lot of times, the mentors are actually giving time, and people can benefit immensely from them, right? But a lot of times there are people who might have done a certificate course on design thinking and start thinking that they're not kind of interested in listening to feedback, especially if the feedback given to them require them to work a little more. And all of us who come from the world of design, the amount of rigor that actually goes into working with design, right? So a lot of times people sort of think that this is it's like a there's a formula that you use, and you just have to make PPTs, and then you sort of use the right language, and then you are feeling very good about the fact that you have solved a problem. But I mean, what I'm trying to say is that because we are trying to decolonize design, we're also trying to democratize design. It's kind of nice to also let people know that this is an entry into the world of design and not an exit. So it's somewhere this kind of a larger philosophy can be instilled in the participants, that you have to go through the trigger. Otherwise, it's just a checkbox that you're sort of adding, which is going into your CV. It's not for the certification, right? It's also really to kind of engage in that act. So that's my thought. I don't know whether anything can be done about it.
No, I think that's a great suggestion, Sudebi. So what we are doing, actually, let me explain to you. First thing is the mentors. If you see, there are different platforms available. Anybody can become a mentor. I read an article and then I become a UX mentor, or design mentor. So because not some places don't even have filters. So here you see very handful, because we are curating mentors. We are also taking feedback from the previous participants, and we are not actually inviting them, some mentors who never shown up, who never given them right direction. So we are also curating what's their experience and education going through that. And then if you are here, that means you are a wonderful person, when we recognized you as a right person to give a direction to the future generation. Okay, the second point, we are actually planning to do some sessions, like any mentors would like to take 18-minute talk. So the next few, after 16th July is the deadline for participation, participant registrations. After that, every weekend we can actually we're going to have interaction with participants, how to participate and all those. And of course, we'd like to invite people who would like to share their experiences and thoughts, so that participants can actually get an idea how to not just only for certification, but also how to engage themselves to get in, as you rightly said, an entry to the design world. Yep. I'm hoping that would actually solve, but you can feel free to give any better ideas, suggestions. Would like to.
Yeah, I think what I was saying is that when and I mean, unlike UMO, where you actually go through a lot of rigor in just doing this curation, as we all know, which is why we also would like to be a part of this. There are lots of challenges coming up every year in different parts, as you know, and it's almost like you just come and be a part of an innovation challenge, and you sort of feel that that's something which adds to your CV, and which is creating a problem where people just want to do it for the sake of it, and my whole point is that if your mentors are chosen so carefully, imagine how much people can benefit by the mentorship. And often it becomes that the mentors have to run after the group to sort of say, you can actually do this, and they don't want to listen to you because they don't want to do that. I mean, some of them, would be saying that, I already know, I have already worked on an app, or I'm a designer myself. Actually, they aren't. I mean, someone who's in standard 12 might be saying that, I have done a certification, so I'm a designer, and I know the process. So this is my idea, this is my solution. I have already made my PPT, and that's about it. So, which is where I'm saying that if there is a way, even as you are taking the participants into this, if the tone can be set, like even in your initial call, that this is really to help you immerse in this, and there is a certain amount of rigor, right? I mean, it could have been a one-day boot camp. Why are you spreading it over a period of time? Because that it really cannot be done in that 1 or 2 days. So I feel like if they also know if it's framed in this way, the expectations, at least from our end, is set. Of course, we all know, even after all of that, some people will do what they want to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. We should run that, a boot camp kind of thing. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Any more questions? Any suggestions, concerns? Okay, great. Thanks a lot, and I think we're going to have another session, maybe not immediately, maybe in the middle of the contest going on. So I think, as Sudebi was talking about, maybe we should actually meet once again, the previous mentors, and also last week mentors and this week. All of us together, I think we should talk about how do we take this forward. Setting a tone, that's a great idea. We should work on that. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good night and have a rest of the good day if you are from a different continents. Okay, so and some of you have a long weekend. Have a good weekend and long weekend too. Thank you. Good night.
Bye, folks.
Thank
Bye.
you very
Thank
much.
you, guys.